Tonight's bedtime story is a little interesting. Tonight's bedtime story is called Mr. and Little Miss in the Garden, read by the same artists. Mr. Happy lived in Happyland, in his little house beside a large lake. It was a beautiful setting. However, his garden was all lawn all the way down to the lake, and Mr. Happy loved gardening. He wanted a potter about in flower beds, planting and weeding and watering his plants. He wanted to grow his own tomatoes, but his garden was all mowing and no growing. So Mr. Happy decided to design a new garden. Mr. Happy arrived early at the annual Happyland Garden Show. He hoped that the gardens in the competition would give him inspiration. Now, what sort of garden would he like? There was Miss Neat's traditional rose garden, and Miss Inventor's not-so-traditional roof garden. There was Mr. Calm's Zen garden with carefully raked gravel, which was next to Mr. Messy's wild garden, where he let the plants grow however they wanted. It was a haven for wildlife. Unlike Mr. Lazy's garden, his concrete garden was a haven for the man who didn't want to lift a finger in his garden. Miss Sunshine had planted a sunflower garden, a garden of smiling Happyland sunflowers, just the garden for Mr. Happy. Miss Dotty had planted a rock garden, but she could not understand why her rocks weren't growing. Mr. Greedy had created a vegetable garden, but there weren't any vegetables left. I wonder who could have eaten them all. I think we know who. Mr. Greedy. Little Miss Fun had added a water garden in the competition, a water garden with a twist. Mr. Happy thought this might be a great fun. Oops! One second. There we go. He liked so many of the gardens that he could not decide what to choose for his home. Maybe Mr. Happy ought to see which garden won the Happyland Garden Show. The winner was Little Miss Tiny's window box garden. Mr. Happy liked window boxes, but he also liked sunflowers, and a calm space, and a pond, and a wildlife wilderness, and vegetables. The only thing he knew he didn't want was Mr. Lazy's concrete garden. And then he realized what he would do. He would have a little bit of everything. An everything garden. Mr. Happy worked very hard to create his everything garden, and his friends joined in helping him. There was a lot of muddy digging with Mr. Messy, and careful rows of planting with Miss Neat, and watering with Mr. Muddle. And pernickety pruning with Mr. Fussy, and relaxing raking with Mr. Calm. And pond building with Miss Busy. Finally it was finished, and it was quite something to behold. Mr. Happy was very happy, and he had even managed to incorporate something from Mr. Lazy's garden. And it was one second. A hammock. Well, after all that hard work, he needed somewhere to lie back and enjoy his garden. Time for our top 10.